It's time for another super realistic what I eat in a day as someone who wants to eat over 30 different plants a week, but also really loves to cook and eat. Now, today was a bit of a different day because it turned out to be quite meat heavy, but still trying to get as many plants in there as I can and some variety. Started off with really simple breakfast of sourdough toast. We had treated ourselves to a really good sourdough loaf at the weekend, so had some in the freezer and thought just to enjoy it at its best, I had a slice with just really nice salted butter on top, and then the other one to boost the plants, instead of butter I went for a nut butter and then topped it with, I'll admit, perhaps an overly generous smothering of apricot jam, but no regrets, it was delicious. Had that while I was working with an oat flat white. It's lunchtime, let's make a really good ham and cheese toastie. So this was a request, but I can't complain. It does mean though that today was very bread heavy as well as meat heavy, but nothing wrong with that. We love sourdough. And so to make my ultimate ham and cheese toastie, started by buttering the outside of the bread, which will help it toast really evenly and get a really crispy exterior. Then on the inside, I go in with mustard, Dijon obviously, some cracked black pepper, some really nice good quality cooked ham, and then for my cheeses I went for a very strong flavor cheese but classic, so mixture of parmesan and some extra mature cheddar. And that's it. Cold pan, pop them in and then very slowly heat them up. It takes a little while, but eventually you'll start to hear that sizzle and you know that you're browning and ready to flip. So I give them a gentle brown on one side and then they start to get squished. Whatever you've got that's heat resistant and heavy, so I go in with a pan lid and then put a few mugs on top of that just to really squish them down while it browns on the other side. And then if you want, you can then flip them over and give them a bit longer on the other side so that they're evenly toasted on both. But that's it. Really good ham and cheese toastie. Simple. Served it with a mixed salad with some mixed seeds in there as well, and some cucumber and a really classic French dressing. Then as a little sweet treat, also treated ourselves to some mochi, ice cream mochis, because they were on offer. So had that as a little treat. It was the pineapple and mandarin one, which I don't really rate, not my favorite flavor. And then for dinner, it was an Ottolenghi recipe, but using the veg I had in the fridge that were kind of started to look a bit worse for wear, like this broccoli, where I tried to keep as much of the stem as I could, but it was starting to be a bit dry. Then really beautiful spring onion though, lots of cherry toms, that was in the original recipe. And then I haven't told you what the recipe is yet. It's a salmon puttanesca tray bake. So you have lots of vegetables with cherry tomatoes and spring onions, and then you make this marinade that goes on the vegetables and the salmon, which is lots of extra virgin olive oil, tomato paste, and chopped garlic and preserved lemon. And then I added in some nigella seeds and some oregano as well, and then lots of salt and pepper. You put half of that on your veg, so I've got some courgette, broccoli, spring onion and tomatoes. Spread that over and you put that in the oven for, the recipe said 20 minutes, but I went for 30 because I didn't see how it was gonna color and how the tomatoes would cook in just 20 minutes. And then the salmon marinades in the rest of that tomato oil mix. Then you make a little salsa, which is the rest of the puttanesca ingredients like basil, parsley, olives and capers, and again preserved lemon. And I decided to stir that through some bulgur wheat just to bulk up the meal a bit. Lots of extra virgin olive oil and salt in that, and that made a really nice base for the salad with like the black olives, the tangy capers, all the herbs. That was really nice. The salmon gets cooked on top of the veg and then you serve it all, and the tomatoes go soft and saucy and it's very garlicky. This was nice. I'm not sure I would rush to make it again because it wasn't as full of flavor as I would want it to be, but it was still very nice and I enjoyed it. And then for dessert, I had some Greek yogurt with peaches on top because they're in season and I really, really love peaches. Then finished the night with some TV and tea and biscuits. So yeah, I'd call that a great day. Very realistic, but hope you still enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe for more and let me know in the comments if you've got any favorite midweek meals that you turn to.